Welcome to Backstage with Becca with special guest, Dylan Wallach. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Backstage with Becca. On this episode, this Carnegie Mellon grad grew up watching his sister perform and knew he wanted to do the same thing. He's played Jerry on the national tour of Beautiful, the Carole King Musical, played Danny Zuko in Grease at the Winter Garden Theatre in Toronto, was part of the cast of Betrayal on Broadway, where he understudied 3 characters, and is part of the cast of Leopoldstadt, opening on Broadway this fall. Please welcome Dylan Wallach. So, first of all, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing good. Yep. I'm excited to talk to you about your career and
Yeah, me too. Thank you for having me. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course. So I'm going to jump right in. Have you always known that you wanted to have a career in acting and performing?
Yes, I think so. I got the bug really early. My sister was into it before me. So she's like 7 years older. And so I would go to all of her rehearsals and watch her perform. Yeah. And I used to sing, Wizard of Oz was my favorite movie as a kid, and I couldn't pronounce my R's. So Scarecrow was my guy. I would say if I only had a bean instead of brain, but I would like sing that as a baby. That was my jam. And then when I was like 7 or 8, my sister was playing Wilbur in Charlotte's Web at her high school. And I was at rehearsal every day. And the director was like, "Do you want your brother to be in this? He's always here." And so that was my first show. I played a baby spider in Charlotte's Web. Yes. Amazing reviews, catapulted. No, but that was like,
obviously.
Yeah. That was how it started. And I got into like theater class as a little kid and grew up in this awesome area where I got to do like, theater at these like great regional theaters in Maine and New Hampshire where I grew up. But yeah, I've known for a while.
I mean, I have no doubt that the pivotal role was the Charlotte's Web role. So
I think I may have peaked back then. It might have been the best thing I'll ever do, but we'll see.
They were like, "Why isn't this on Broadway?"
I know. A lot of people said that, and they said, New Hampshire, usually right from Maine and New Hampshire to Broadway, but it didn't transfer. Yeah.
Maybe one day you'll have to go back to just like duck down.
Yeah. Oh, I totally seem like I could still play a baby spider, right?
Yeah. Yeah, of course, no doubt. So what was the first theater show that you the first professional theater show that you ever saw?
First professional theater show I ever saw. Man, that's a good question. I mean, my family, we used to come to New York City when I was a kid. We'd like see a Broadway show, and I don't remember. I know one of the first ones was Annie, Get Your Gun with Bernadette Peters. Ooh. That might have been the first. It was, or Smokey Joe's Cafe, maybe when it was on Broadway. I think one of those was the first. But I was like totally fired up by it, totally inspired. And like, I remember singing the soundtrack of Smokey Joe's Cafe for like many years after that.
I mean, a Bernadette Peters show isn't a bad first, or like one of the first shows to see.
Yeah. And a friend of mine who I went to college with was in that show as a little kid. And we like realized when we were in college together, like I saw you and Annie Get Your Gun on Broadway when you were like 10 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What a small world.
Totally.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So you mentioned regional theater and growing up in a place where there was great regional theater.
Yeah.
What was your favorite, or what has been your favorite regional show you've done?
Let's see. We were joking. I was joking about peaking. I actually think I peaked. I played the lead in Equus. That play. Daniel Radcliffe did it on Broadway. It's it's about this kid who kind of creates this religion around horses, kind of falls in love with horses. It's really twisted. It gets pretty dark. I played that character when I was in high school, and it was like my favorite thing I've ever done. I I just like, I think I was kind of, you know, once you go to college, sometimes the training kind of gets you in your head. But it was before anybody had like gotten in my head. I was so out of my own way. I was just like, I just went all the way in. And like, I really feel like that was I really think I might have peaked with that one, actually.
Wow. Wait, so was it like at your high school?
No, so I didn't do theater at my high school. I just happened to be lucky enough that there were these great regional theaters right near where I grew up. So there was this theater called the Seacoast Repertory Theater in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and then the Players Ring Theater in Portsmouth. And then I worked at the Agunquit Playhouse a lot as a kid. But the Players Ring was like, once I got to high school, I started working there because they did more plays. I did a lot of musicals as a kid, but I hate dancing. So I was like, I don't want to do dancing anymore. I want to do plays. I want to act. I don't want to have to be embarrassed about not being able to dance.
Do you have a favorite musical regional show?
I think Ragtime. I was in Ragtime when I was like in 8th grade or something. I played the little boy. Yeah, that's probably my favorite musical. So
yeah, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's like not one that you hear every day.
Yeah,
people say like Ragtime's my favorite, but that's a really good one.
Yeah, just I love the story behind it, the message and the music is just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where did you go to college? And did you audition to get into the college? What was your whole college experience like, and what was the most valuable thing you learned?
Oh, wow. I did audition. I went to Carnegie Mellon University for acting. Yeah, I mean, I was really focused on like going to a conservatory. I didn't want to do regular college. I wanted to like be in a place where I was like only focused on acting. So that was my auditioning experience. I auditioned only for conservatories. I think I auditioned for like 8 schools or something.
Wow.
And I auditioned for Carnegie Mellon in New York City at like, they call them the unified auditions, like the university comes to New York. So I auditioned for them there. And the woman who was the head of the program at the time, Barbara Mackenzie Wood, she auditioned me. And I think the thing is, if they like you, then you go and meet with another teacher in another room. And I had to do, you know, what's that?
Callbacks.
Yeah, right. Which I had never, you know, in high school, I didn't really know what that was yet. And so I met with a few of them, but Barbara ended up being like my favorite person who I ever, you know, worked with at that school. Like she's really intense and she gets a lot out of you. And I remember her like really working with me, really pushing me during my audition and me being like, oh, I love this. But I didn't think I would get in. You know, I thought like they take like 13 kids a year into the acting program. And so I remember my dad and I visited Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh and we were like, wow, what an amazing place. Like how cool. And then they were like, yeah, no, basically no one gets in though. And we were like, totally cool. Well, would be nice, you know? So I really didn't, I wanted to get in, but I didn't think I would. So I was like very, very thrilled to get to go there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was the most valuable thing you learned?
Sorry, I didn't answer that.
No, it's okay. That was a huge question.
Yeah. The most valuable about auditioning, you mean?
Just like in general when you went there.
Oh, at Carnegie Mellon.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. I think the thing that I'm even like, I'm learning it still is, I think the most valuable thing I learned in school is like to really bring yourself to the work. I think I had like an idea for a long time. I had to be what the business wanted me to be, you know, like they must be looking for, okay, I'm reading the description of this character. It must be like, it says like a, you know, like a handsome, like charming, whatever guy. And so I'm just going to be that instead of like actually bringing who I am to the work, because I think that's what people really want to see is each time they want to see somebody who's just themselves. Right. So I think that was probably the most important thing, but I'm still learning it. I'm still working on that. For whatever reason, it's hard to like fully bring yourself to the work sometimes, but I think that's a good one.
And I'm going to get more into this later with the plays you've been in. Yeah. But are you really good at memorizing lines? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think so.
Don't hold that. Be completely honest if you are.
I think I am. I mean, yeah, I get things fast. Honestly, my fiance is even faster than me. I thought I was fast, and she memorizes stuff so quickly. So I'm good. She's better.
Wow.
But yeah, what I do is like, if I'm trying to memorize something, I record all of the lines and I listen to them over and over again. That's how I learn them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good way.
Auditory learner, I guess.
I was just very curious because I was reading your resume and I was like, he must be good at memorizing lines. Like he must have some trick.
Yeah. And sometimes then once I get to a level where I'm learning it, then I record the other person's lines and leave a blank space for my lines. So then I can like run it with myself.
Yes.
All these tricks. But yeah, the play I'm going to do next, Leopoldstadt, I'm covering like 9 people. So I basically have to learn the whole play.
I saw that and I saw the press release last week and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, how exciting.
Thank you. I'm super excited. We start at the beginning of August. So
ooh.
Yeah, I got to start learning.
That's so, and I've heard great things about that play. So I was looking into it randomly like a month ago. So
oh really?
Yeah, I was like, oh, what's this?
Yeah. Apparently it was a big hit in London, so it's exciting.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, but yes, you definitely need to have tricks to memorizing, especially if you got to learn a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about Beautiful, Carole King Musical, because I think I saw you on that.
Yeah.
Were you on the tour in Dallas?
Yes.
Then I definitely saw you in that.
Cool.
What was your audition like for Beautiful, and what did you know about Carole King's story and about Jerry Kaufman's story before auditioning?
Yeah, so I've got kind of a funny story with Beautiful. The first time I heard about it, I was a senior in college, and the casting director of Beautiful reached out to my manager and said, "Does Dylan sing? We're working on." It was a workshop of Beautiful at the time. It wasn't even like a musical yet. So that was the first I heard about it. They were, and that was.
Oh, love it. Angel is friends.
Oh my God, talking about Beautiful here. Wow, perfect timing. Carole King is walking into the apartment right now.
Yes.
Funny. So anyways, I auditioned for the show probably like 6 or 7 times before I finally got it over the course of like 4 or 5 years, maybe. So I kept going in for it. And for whatever reason, I wasn't the right fit at the time so I remember like the final time I auditioned for it, I was like, man, they better give it to me. But I was like, years and years of auditioning for the show, hoping to get it and not getting it. But when I finally did, I got to do it with Sarah. And so it like couldn't have worked out better, but I knew about Carole for a long time because my mom looks a lot like Carole King. So I had like, heard about her and known her music. My parents loved folk music, loved her music, loved James Taylor, so I'd listened to a lot of her stuff growing up, but didn't know how many songs that she and Jerry Goffin wrote for other artists. But yeah, so that show was like kind of in my life in the periphery for a long time before I finally got it. But yeah, I was so excited when I finally got to do it.
I mean, what an experience to get to do it. I mean, opposite Sarah, as you mentioned, and to get to like tour the country opposite her too.
Absolutely.
Like, that's lucky.
Yes, and we didn't know each other when I first joined the tour. We had never met, and I was bringing my dog Josh, this little dachshund Chihuahua, and she had just rescued hers, Warren, dachshund Chihuahua. She had just rescued him when we met, so they became like best friends and brothers. And she and I fell in love, and it was So I'll always, Beautiful will always be like it'll have a special place in my heart because of what it's done for my life and career and all that.
I mean, I'm telling you, dogs are brilliant. They know.
Seriously.
They're like, we're gonna connect these people and make these people talk.
That's right. Yeah, and I think Sarah's mom at the time was like, "Oh, you got a dog? Like now you're never gonna like meet anybody." And it was kind of
it's the opposite. It's the opposite when you get a dog.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about, you said that one of the most valuable things you learned in college was bringing yourself to a character.
Yeah.
So what went to making the role of Jerry your own, but
Mm.
also making sure to stick to the story you were to like the true story you were telling?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think the part that I connected with him was like being an artist and really wanting to break into this business, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I think that was the thing, the connection, like the being that desperate to be a part of this industry, like I felt that drive for a long time. And also like he was so creative. I'm not saying that I'm on that level of creativity, but I love to write, not music, but like, sketches and scripts and stuff like that. And so, your mind is always kind of thinking of like an idea for, a new line or a new, episode or something like that. So that drive of like the creative mind kind of never stopping. Obviously, the part that I don't know as much about is, his mental health. He suffered from, he was bipolar. They called it manic depressive then, so that part I had to just learn more about, do more research and understand kind of what that is, what's going on in your brain chemically, because that part I can't connect to. But yeah, just the artist part of Jerry was something that was easy to connect to, and the rest was like just a gift. He's like such a complicated person. Like he had such a big heart, and they start so young together, and they catapult, and then he's like really unwell by the end of the show. So to get to explore that,
It's
each
such
time a week was a gift. Yeah.
yeah, it's such a huge like three-dimensional character, and
Yeah. Yeah.
Carole
How,
really
like,
does
now you
it.
don't always get that in musicals, like,
Yeah.
because I think I'm like an actor first. And the fact that I didn't have to dance in that show is also,
Yes, thank God. I
um,
mean, but it's a story that like everyone kind of knows when they come into it, or they know Carole King's music, and
yeah,
they're just like so invested in the show. Like every time I've seen the show a couple of times, and every time I've
yeah,
got to see the show, everyone there is like so into it, and
yeah,
so like jamming along to the music and excited
yeah,
to hear all the tunes.
yes,
It's
totally.
such a fun show to hear the audience react to nightly.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about tour too. Each city you went to, the audience experienced the show differently.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to hear like, oh, this city loves that part of this, and this one like
Yeah.
doesn't think that's funny or whatever. All different kind. Yeah, and each theater was so beautiful. I remember the theater in Dallas is gorgeous.
Yes, the Windspear, yeah.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
so
like
pretty.
crazy lights, like a crown kind of, right?
At the top of the ceiling, and they
Yeah,
do like some light show, I think like
yeah,
once
right.
a week or something. And I think they always like give like the cast of the show like some special light show
They
before
did. Yeah,
the
I
show
remember
starts.
that. Yeah. Is that
So
where you're from? You're from Dallas?
I'm from Dallas, but I lived in LA for 5 years.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I'm right now in Burbank, and
Oh,
I go
nice.
back and visit all the time.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um so how is researching a character that's not based off a real character different than researching a character that is
Mm.
based off a real character? Because I'm sure you have to do both.
Yeah, totally. Um, I think if it's not a real person, then you just have to try to find the parts of that. You just need to find the humanity of that person, right? And create a backstory. Just make the character as three-dimensional as you possibly can. So whatever helps you get in, whatever your in is. Like I just did this play at the Bay Street Theater called Windfall, and my character wasn't based on anybody. He's not a real person. But he's like, they all work at this like data research company, and like he's got a drinking problem, and he's like not going anywhere in life. And I don't know, yeah, I just had to kind of create my own backstory of what it's like when he goes home after work. Like, what is his life, like try to kind of create a whole life for yourself. I mean, sometimes I do like journal entries as a character to just try to like
Oh,
try to like voice
you
the
did
thoughts
deep.
as that person. Hey, I think the deeper I don't know if you've seen it. I saw Elvis the other night.
I
You see?
haven't yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like it's not like the best movie, but he's amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like so inspired by how deep he obviously went into this character, you know, how much research, how specific, you know, every movement and vocally. And like, I was just so inspired by that. So I was like, what, you know, like, why not? What do you got to lose to like dive deep each time, you know?
Yep. Went from like Disney Channel guest starring to like,
yes,
I'll
right.
be watching like a Disney Channel show and he's just like in a random like 5 seconds of the show.
Yeah. And you can see that. I mean, you can tell he's been in this business for a long time. He's very like polished. But he's also like, man, there are a lot of times where you really feel like you're watching Elvis, which is like pretty amazing.
It says a lot.
Yeah, totally.
What was the most fascinating thing you learned about Jerry's story and Carole's story while you were in the show?
Wow. I think more just how strong she was, right? And how much she was going through while continuing to put out all of that brilliant music and raising little girls and like just becoming a woman and growing up while, you know, like changing the music industry. I think I didn't know how in depth what she was going through while she was creating that music. And also, didn't know what he was going through while he was kind of going down,
spiraling a little bit.
Spiraling. And also, like, I think I read in some book that back then when people weren't like doing well mentally, they used to do shock therapy as a way to try to help them get better.
No.
And it obviously like just made him worse, you know? And so it's like, it's interesting just from that perspective, like, not that we still in this country like do the best job with mental health, but we have more facilities now and he would have been able to get more help now than he would have back then, where they were literally like seemed like they were guessing at trying to help him, you know?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really sad. It's
awful.
Really, it was a sad end of life. Yeah.
What's your favorite Carole King song?
My favorite song to sing in the show was Up on the Roof, which is also one of my favorite songs. And then my favorite song that Too Late, It's Too Late is my like favorite song, and my favorite song that Sarah sang in the show as Carole.
Do you have any reason why, or just like sounded so good?
Yeah, I think sounded so good, and I love the melody of that song. It's funny, like when I listen to music, I love like voices and like chord progression. Like one of the last things I listen to is lyrics, which is ironic because Jerry Goffin was the lyric writer. So, but I just think that song's beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, I mean all the songs are.
Yes,
for
crazy.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I've interviewed a couple other people who have been in Beautiful, and they mentioned that Carole King is closely associated with the show and has been for years. Did you ever get to meet Carole King while on tour?
I did, yeah.
Oh, what was that experience like?
Really cool. We were in Costa Mesa, California, and the show finished, and the like assistant stage manager right after the show, Sarah comes out and sings like I Feel the Earth Move. So she gives her a microphone, and she gave her the microphone, and I was right there, and she's like, here's the microphone. Also, Carole King is here and she wants to come up on stage and sing with you.
Oh my.
And I heard that. So I knew, and I have another microphone. So we like come out, and Sarah knows, and no one else except for I think the two of us knew. So Sarah's like, okay, we've got one more song to sing for you. And then Carole walks out, and the entire cast starts flipping out. And so yeah. And then her daughter, Louise Goffin, was there as well. So she came on stage with us, and Sarah and her sang together. There's some amazing pictures and videos of that night. And then we all got to hang out with her after the show and talk with her. And Sarah's dresser was like, you need to carry around one of her records just in case she comes so you can get it signed. So she got it signed. And then Sarah was like, you need to show her a photo of your mom, because how much she looks like Carole. So there's this great video of me showing a picture of my mom to Carole and her being like, oh my God. And but she's as kind and like gracious and sweet and warm as she is portrayed in the show, you know, like no ego, so nice and like just glows and amazing.
I just think it's so cool that she like has been so involved in the show and will like
Yeah.
make these special like guest appearances on stage with the cast at the
Yeah,
end of shows.
totally. And also I think it wasn't always like that. I think when the show first came out, I think it was hard for her to see the show is what I heard.
That's what I heard as well.
Yeah, because it was painful for her to look at those parts of her life. So I think it took a while for her to come, but it's cool that she kind of was able to come out the other side and be able to support all of these different companies who are doing the show. And yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Really cool.
neat.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure the audience reaction that night was like insane.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine? You just like thought you were going to a regular like Thursday night show and then she shows up.
Yeah, and then the person the show's about just like shows up on stage and you're like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Totally. We were, I think we were the audience and cast equally shocked. Just starstruck and shocked and yeah.
I can totally imagine.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know if I'm going backwards or not, but I want to talk about, you did do a dance heavy show recently, kind of recently. I mean, I still consider 2017 recently. So you were in Greece.
Yes.
And you played Danny Zuko. Were you a fan of Grease growing up, first of all?
Yes. Totally.
Okay.
Love it.
So how cool is it to like get an audition or like join a company of Grease and be the lead? Like get told you're the lead.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So that finding out about that was actually a cool story. So the guy who directed that show, Josh Prince, he was the choreographer for Beautiful. I initially auditioned for it and there was a dance call. And I remember like I'm telling you, like I'm not a dancer, just not a dancer. So it takes me a little bit to pick up steps. Like I don't like when somebody's teaching me dance fast, it's not going to be awesome. And I remember him like pulling me aside after the dance call. And I was like, I don't remember what I said. Something like, if I have a little more time, I could do it, you know? And he's like, okay, cool. And then I think my agent reached out to me and said that he wanted to meet with me privately with another woman. And we were just going to like work on dance stuff, like in a studio and just like feel it out. No pressure. Let's just like figure it out. I was like, okay. And the woman who was there was a Rockette. And it was like so kind, so patient, like was trying so hard to like make me look good. And the three of us were in a studio for like 2.5 hours. He's like, I just want to see how some of this looks on you. I want to make it like what your strengths are, like lifting her and whatever, you know, like it's just gonna be chill. Amazing. So we like got through the whole thing. And at the end of it, he was like, how would you like to play Danny Zuko? So he like told me that I got the part at the end of this like amazing dance experience thing.
Wow.
And I was like right across the street from my agent's office. So I like went over to my agent's office from that and told him that I got it. And it was like this really cool moment. And then, so we were in Toronto doing that show for a while. But we had like 6 weeks of rehearsal before we like started the show. So I had plenty of time to learn all of the dance, which was nice. It didn't feel rushed. So felt like I got the hang of it, you know?
So I mean, obviously you say you're an actor first and that dancing is like, So if a show involves dancing, what does it have to like have for you to be like, okay, like I'm gonna do this dancing. I'm gonna challenge, like I'm gonna tackle this choreography no matter how long it takes.
It's a good question. You know, so I've played Danny. I think I was going to play him for the third time this summer. Hate Playhouse, but then I ended up doing this show in the Hamptons instead. But I played Danny in college as well at like a regional theater in upstate New York. I think it's like a role that like sits well on, you know, it's just like a role that I know I can do, not necessarily the dancing part, but like I get the character.
Dialect.
Yeah, right. It's like similar to Beautiful, the Brooklyn kind of New York kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I trust that I could do that part. But the dancing is like that's by far the most challenging part of playing that role, because he's got to win the dance contest, and
Oh
so
yeah.
you got to believe that he can dance. So if somebody believes in me and is
Yeah.
patient with me, I can move, I can do it, but it's out of my comfort zone for sure. So like it does feel like it takes like some trust and like bravery on my part to be like, I can do this. But yeah,
And
it's not enjoyable for me. I don't like love it.
I mean, I'm sure it makes it more enjoyable when there is patience involved in
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
choreographer.
totally. Yeah, if somebody is like not on my side and they're like, why aren't you getting this? And like everybody around me is an amazing dancer and they pick it up immediately, that's a harder situation.
I mean, I'm definitely horrible at dancing.
Yeah.
So if someone was like very impatient with me, that would
Yeah.
just stress me out.
Yeah, it makes my brain already, like, I don't know what it is. Like when somebody's teaching me steps, my legs and brain like don't connect, you know? Yeah, so that's why I'm like amazed by, the rest of the ensemble in that show, and in Beautiful, like the Drifters and the Shirelles, like what they can do with their bodies and how fast they can pick up dance. So cool. I wish I could.
It's
Oh my gosh.
insane.
Like Miles Frost and MJ, like, oh my gosh. Like,
I mean, even
why?
these TikTok dances, I'm like
Yeah.
struggling to learn. I'm like, why can't I do this? Why don't I look like these people who have gone viral on TikTok doing
Yeah. My
these
niece tries to teach me the dances from TikTok. I'm like, I can't do it. I don't have it.
dances? Like, sorry.
Yeah. You look great. You got it, but not happening.
But
Yeah.
nope.
Yeah.
So, what is it like being part of a regional show for, I mean, how long was it? 6 weeks of rehearsal?
Yeah.
Is it
6 weeks
kind of
of
like summer
rehearsal.
camp?
What's that?
Is it kind of like summer camp in a way?
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Yeah. I mean, and also in another country, we rehearsed in Toronto, and yeah, I lived there for a while. Yeah, I think we were there for like 4 or 5 months or something. Um, but like summer camp, like I'm still in touch with a lot of the cast. Like,
Yeah.
you like make really special bonds with people if you're spending that much time with them, 8 hours a day, and
So
then doing a show at night or doing 8 shows a week. Like you get to know these people well. So that part of it's great. And I love Toronto. Like it's one of my favorite cities. That and Vancouver, like just great places. So uh, I think that's like one of the most fun parts of being in a show for that long, is getting to know people that well and like making sometimes lifelong friends.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do you make the role? I mean, Danny Zuko is such an iconic role.
Yeah.
I feel like Grease was the first movie musical that my parents ever showed me.
Yes.
How do
Totally.
you make a role like that your own?
Yeah.
And has your portrayal of him changed since, like, did your portrayal of him change since the first time you played him?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I definitely like stayed away from rewatching the movie because like obviously Travolta's performance is so iconic.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to touch that. That's its own thing. So yeah, I think I had to make my own version of it. I think the thing that I like really tried to lean into with playing him was his vulnerability. Like that when he's with her, like he's actually himself, right? Like he really cares about her, and he like does have a sensitive side, and he is sweet. And then as soon as he sees the guys, it's like, hey, what's going on? Like back to just like, I'm tough. And, I think that was like the most fun to play with the contrast of like who he really is. And he's really himself when he's with her, and he's putting on a whole thing for these guys. Right.
Yes.
So I think that was like probably the most fun thing to play about. Yeah. The thing I focused on the most, because it's not in the script as much, but I leaned into that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's not really like, if you're just watching the movie for the first time, you don't really get it completely.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that he is like just like trying to be very, very, very cool when he's around his friends.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's kind of a whole act when he's around his friends.
Totally. And also, the show is like, it's dated, like
Yeah.
So there's some stuff in there, like, you know, the scene when they're like at the movies together where it can come off like kind of like
Yeah.
it can be like sketchy if you don't play it the right way. So like that I was also focused on, like not coming off like, you know, predatory or like anything like that. Like still trying to like be a good guy who just like doesn't get the picture but isn't like forcing her to do anything. You know, that's like a fine line that's like not really written into the show. You know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he's like supposed to be a young guy, young high school guy
Yeah.
too. So like, I mean, high schoolers, they don't know. They're learning.
Yeah. Totally. Right. You're figuring it out. That's right.
They're
Yeah.
figuring it out.
Yeah.
So it is a dated movie. It came out in 1978. Why do you think Grease is so popular still to this day? Because there's still tons of productions of Grease.
It's
I know
true.
there's production in like SoCal happening
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. That's a great question. I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what you think about that. I mean, I think, you know, like the music's so good,
Yeah.
right? Especially if like, I don't know, I've done both versions. I've done like the original Broadway music, and then
Yeah.
I've done the movie version. The one in Toronto was the movie music, which I think is better. You know,
Yeah.
like all choked up, I think is the original, and then like You're the One That I Want is the one that's in the movie, which is like
Oh
so
yeah.
much better.
That's best.
So I think it's like, yeah, the music is iconic, and it's like it's fun to watch this love story, I think, you know. But I mean, when we did it in Toronto, they tried to make it as like progressive as possible. I just don't know how you can try,
Oh.
you know. Like I think the thing that they did with me at the end was that I changed for her too. So like at the very end, I'm wearing kind of this like dorky kind of like buttoned up outfit,
Yeah.
instead of like it's just her in that like black sexy outfit, and I'm the same, I'm trying to change for her too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice way to try to make it a little bit more,
Yeah.
you know, equal.
Hey,
Mm-hmm.
that
But
works.
I don't think everybody does that, so I don't know.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a production that does that.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
really like that.
It was cool. Yeah.
What was the audience in Toronto like as opposed to the like audiences in the United States?
You know, I didn't feel like there was a big difference. I mean, people are really nice there, like just in general. I know that's like kind of like a generalization, but people are really kind in Canada. Like
Yeah.
there's like they've got like a lot more stuff figured out than we do, for sure. So I just really liked being there, like even as like a human, just like interacting with people. But yeah, the audiences were great. Like they definitely seem to enjoy the show. That theater is so cool. Have you ever been there, the Winter Garden Theater?
No, but I've seen pictures and it's stunning.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like it looks like a jungle.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
So, yeah, that was like, yeah, it was like a great place to perform. And yeah, they were, you know, like we had some big crowds that, you know, I don't know, like people were very excited. Janelle Parrish played Sandy, and so
Yeah.
people were obviously excited to come see her. And Katie Finley was Rizzo. She's amazing.
Yes.
Like I'm still great, you know, really good friends with both of them. They're awesome. But yeah, they were, you know, they were a big draw. People wanted to come see them. So that was awesome. Yeah.
And I'm sure you had like repeat audience members, which is always cool.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And that was amazing. Like we had that on tour too. You'd be like amazed, like, wow, you're in this city as well. Like you came all the way here to see the show again. Like that's like always so special to like see people again, you know?
Yeah. And they get a different show every night, even if it's the same cast.
Yes.
To be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. And I love that about 8 shows a week, is like you can continue to find stuff as you go. You know, it doesn't have to be, obviously you gotta like keep it pretty similar, but like that's you're going to like change as a character if you're doing it for that long, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your Broadway debut show, Betrayal, where you understudied 3 characters.
Yeah.
And they were all lead characters, I believe, because it's a small cast.
Yes.
So how did you get involved in Betrayal? And what was it like working with the cast of Betrayal? Because what an amazing cast.
Totally. Yeah. It happened pretty fast. I remember I had just gotten back from Beautiful, like Sarah and I moved to the city.
Wow.
And yeah, the timing was kind of crazy. We were like subletting from a friend, and like 2 weeks later got evicted from the apartment because the building manager saw our friend moving out and like not giving the keys back, and there's not supposed to be subletting. So we were like in this apartment, had to move out 2 weeks later. So we were in an Airbnb in Brooklyn while we were applying for another apartment within the same building, had put all of our stuff in storage, and I got the audition for Betrayal.
Oh
So
my,
I like went in while we
you're
were in
like
the Airbnb.
stressed.
What's that?
You're like stressed.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And then Sarah had gone back to Chicago, had a call back for Betrayal. And then like 2 days later, they were like, you got it. You start rehearsals tomorrow. They were about to go into preview. So the day I started rehearsals was our day moving into our new apartment that we had gotten. So Sarah had to move us in while I was in rehearsal for Betrayal. But it was like so cool. Like the experience was amazing. It felt like I was back in college because I was in rehearsal all day. Like either we were doing our stuff or we're watching them, and then they'd have previews at night. So I was there like all day, every day for the first like 3 weeks. So like fully just thrown into it. And they couldn't have been more welcoming. Like immediately, I remember my first day there, I was like watching them rehearse, and Tom Hiddleston like came up to me and like told me about an epiphany he like just had about his character. And I was like, what is happening? Like I was totally, I couldn't believe like how inclusive they were. And the whole process, like every night before each show, we did a group warm up together. We'd play this game called Big Booty, which is this like acting game. We'd get really into it. We'd all like, yeah, do all of these things as a company. But I think maybe that's like a British thing or something, because they were all British. Like they just were like so focused on it being a company. Just because I wasn't on stage every night didn't mean I wasn't a part of it, which was like meant so much to me. And they were such kind people, you know, like still really great friends. And I was so like inspired, especially by Tom, because he's such a huge star. All he cared about was the work. Like he cared so much about the work, and like being famous, like take it or leave it. Like he was grateful for it. But what he really cared about was that play. And like he worked so hard, and he was so good. Like I learned so much just from watching all of them, but especially him. I was just like, there's this one scene where he's like, he's found out that his wife is cheating on him with his best friend, and he's looking straight out, and he's like trying to hold it in, like he's not crying. So he's not like making it look like he's crying, but tears are just streaming down his face as he's just looking straight out without crying, just tears. And 8 shows a week without fail. And I was like, what is that? And so I was like, how do you do that? So after that show closed, I got into an acting class, because I was like, I need to keep working on my instrument to be able to hopefully one day do what he's doing.
So he definitely inspired you.
Yes.
While you were doing that show.
Totally. Which is like, I always hope for that. I always feel like I hope I'm doing a show with people who like make me want to step my game up, who like make me want to keep getting better, you know?
Yeah.
Which I have no doubt that'll be the case here with Leopoldstadt. You know, I'm sure it'll be that same way.
I mean, it's so cool to find like a mentor like that who's not only like, who's someone you've seen in different projects.
Yes.
And you like walk into the room and he's just like so like down to earth, and
yes,
you're like, what is happening? Gotta pinch myself.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's cool to have moments like that. Like I was just doing this play in the Hamptons, and Jason Alexander directed it, the guy who plays George on Seinfeld. And
ooh.
So there were many moments like that with him directing the show where I was just like, I can't believe I'm here. And then our last week of shows, Bryan Cranston came and saw the show, and we got to meet him and hang with him, and I got to talk with him for a while. And it was one of those same moments of just like, what is happening right now? Like driving home from the party, I just like started laughing. I was like, I just got to hang out with Bryan Cranston, and he was like giving me advice on acting and my career and like feedback, and whoa, you know, those moments are like, I don't take those for granted. Those are like very special.
You're like, how is this real?
How is this real? Absolutely. He's like totally my acting hero. His book is like my favorite book. I brought it with me. He signed it. Like,
wow.
Totally.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So, what is it like going into a rehearsal room when you're understudying three
Mm.
characters? I mean, now three characters seems like nothing to you because you're like looking at
Yeah.
9 characters you're understudying, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, 3 characters, so easy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know Betrayal that well before I started, so it was kind of like a heavy learning curve because his writing is so specific and there's so many things I didn't know about, about Pinter's writing. There's like the Pinter pause and all of these things. Like there's always you're saying something but you mean a different thing, and there's so much subtext and all these things I learned really quickly about doing that show. But yeah, it was like boot camp for sure. Like I was just in rehearsal every day, going home, learning more material, trying to like cram more stuff in. And I think we kind of did each character at a time. Like I learned Charlie Cox's part first and like had a full run of like getting to do him on the stage with, lights and set and all that. And then I started working on Hiddleston's part. And then there was Eddie Arnold's part, which was like a smaller part. So that one was easier. But yeah, they're so different. They're such different characters. So I was just watching the show every night and learning a ton from just watching them, and then going back to my script and trying to make it my own as much as I could, and then also grabbing stuff from them because they
Yeah.
were so good at what they did. So it was like around the clock experience.
I mean, how cool to have casting directors trust, like,
Yeah.
when you walk into an audition, like, be like, this guy can cover all 3 characters and have that trust.
Yeah, and actually, I remember that. And the guy who cast Betrayal cast Leopoldstadt, so I'm very grateful to him, Jim Carnahan, who's like, an iconic casting director. But I remember during my initial audition for Betrayal, because it was on tape for the director who was in London, I did a monologue and I like messed up a word or a sentence. I kind of struggled over something, and I finished. And he was like, "Let's do that again. Let's do that monologue again because I
Okay.
think you're going to be kicking yourself if you leave here. Let's just get a clean take." And I felt like he was really looking out for me. He was like trying to put me in the best position to hopefully get this part. He's cast me before. I think it's really like important and also like amazing to have casting directors who believe in you. If you can have one or two, my first audition for Jim Carnahan was my senior year of college. So he's been on my radar for a very long time, so the fact that he believes in me and keeps like fighting for me or trying to help me get more jobs is like, incredible.
Yeah, he sees
Yeah.
something in you.
Yeah. Which I appreciate. I'm glad he sees something.
That's so cool.
Totally.
So, did you go on as any of the characters in Betrayal?
I didn't, unfortunately. I know. It was
That's still so cool.
so yeah, totally. Still
Rehearsal
so cool.
room.
Yeah. But it was, it was 4 months and it was like a 90-minute show, one
Yeah.
act. So even if they were like a little under the weather, they could still kind of get through it. Like I think if it was a musical, the chances of getting to go on are probably higher, or if there were more roles that I was covering. So yeah, but this show I'm doing, like I'm in the ensemble, so I know I'll be up there, and then
Yes.
hopefully get to play some other roles too.
I mean, but even if you're just like in the rehearsal room,
Yes.
so like I feel like that still definitely counts because you're in the rehearsal room working every day to memorize the lines, to you have in the back of your mind, I gotta like learn these roles in case like they do need me.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So you're still performing the play.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I
So,
definitely still
every day.
felt like I was a part of it. Yeah.
So such a huge feat to accomplish.
Appreciate that.
It is. It's so true. So I want to talk about. I know you haven't gone into rehearsals yet for the show, and I'm not even going to try to say the name because I'm going to butcher the name.
Okay, I can say it for you if you'd like.
Yeah, what's the show called?
Leopoldstadt.
Okay, it's quite hard. It's quite hard to pronounce, I feel like.
Totally, you're not wrong. Yeah.
Okay, so what is the show about?
So Leopoldstadt is a small part, the Jewish quarter of a place in Vienna. And it takes place, this whole play takes place from the end of the 1800s through 1950. It's one Jewish family over the course of 50 years. It kind of goes in chunks. You see them in the late 1800s, and then 1920 and 1940 and then 1950 through the Holocaust. And so it's loosely based on Tom Stoppard's life, but it's just sort of this amazing story of a Jewish family dealing with what Jews dealt with during that half century. And it's amazing. It's amazing. He's 84 years old, Tom Stoppard.
Wow.
And he's still rewriting it based on what's going on in the Ukraine. So he's still working on it. But it's amazing how he's able to weave in sort of these like beautiful, like these like love stories and comedy and, terror and sorrow and all of these things that he weaves into this one piece. It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you've just convinced me to come see it next time I'm in New York, because my grandparents, they're not alive anymore, but my grandparents escaped the Holocaust.
Yep.
And very close connection.
Yes.
To that whole story.
Yeah. Yeah. So many people are, right? I mean, and I'm 100% Jewish, and my mom's side of the family lived in Vienna. Yeah, I think it's a really kind of unique telling of what some of those experiences must have been like. So I hope that, I don't know, I hope people like your grandparents or, like people will want to see the show, because it represents sort of this really awful time in our history,
Yeah.
And stuff that's like still happening, it's like, it's not,
it's not gone completely.
No.
I feel like maybe bring Kleenex if you're going to get tickets to go see the show, probably. Yeah.
That's right. I know, maybe they should like supply them with a ticket, like you get a little bag or pocket of them. Yeah.
That'd be nice. Just like a souvenir of like just Kleenex.
Yeah.
When you're walking into the theater, you're like, oh.
Hey, all right. I'm gonna cry. Okay, cool. Thanks for the heads up.
Cool. How do you prepare to go into a rehearsal room when you're like reading the script for 9 characters that you're going to be covering? What's it like?
Yeah, and I heard from my agent that they're still not exactly sure which roles I'm covering. So I'm like still waiting for updates on there might be more. So I'm just trying to understand each of them individually, try to like, break each character apart, and some of them are smaller parts and some of them are the leads. So I'm just trying to kind of observe each of their stories, and try to understand each of these characters, hopefully really well, and then start diving into each of them. And then the memorizing is just a different piece of it. It's kind of like that piece is more tedious, like the character study is a different thing, and then the memorizing is just something you got to do. So I'm gonna, like I said, I record all of the lines, so for each role I'll label them like Herman scene 1, Ludwig scene 1, and just go for walks with my dogs and listen to them until I know them. Yeah,
and then eventually just recite them without the just go on walks and recite them without the audio.
Yeah. And honestly, like being in rehearsals will be helpful too. And then, seeing, being in the show and hearing the words every night, like obviously that's going to help too.
Yeah.
But I like to try to, we'll see. My goal is to try to be off book before we start rehearsals. I try to like come into rehearsals off book. If I can, if I have enough time. Like with Betrayal, they were already about to start previews when I got cast in the show. So I was like kind of playing catch up. But with this one, I've known. So like, what's my excuse? Like I got to come in ready.
You're prepared.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's it like hearing that you're going to be on Broadway? Like that you got your second Broadway show? Were you like, oh my gosh, is this real? Like what is happening? Second Broadway show?
I know. It's not, I don't think it's like set in yet, honestly. I'm so excited. I like intellectually, I see it. Like I saw like this playbill thing and it had both of the credits. And I was like, that's really cool. But I think it's gonna hit me more once we're like actually working on it, you know, and I'm there. But yes, I'm excited. I feel proud. I'm excited. You know, I've been working for a long time to try to get to a place like this. So I'm trying to just like, you know, appreciate it and keep working hard and, you know, yeah.
Yeah. And when does it open so people can buy tickets?
I think it starts previews in September and it opens in October.
Ooh, okay. And I'll put the link to the website in
Oh,
the
cool. Thank
description
you.
of this.
Yeah, and let me know when you're coming. I'll hook you up.
Yes, I need to come. I'll probably stop through the whole thing. I'll bring my parents.
Cool.
They would love it.
Awesome.
So, who inspires you in the theater world? I know we talked about like Tom, it definitely inspired you.
Yeah.
In the show, theater and acting world.
Yeah. Theater, I remember seeing Mark Rylance in Jerusalem when I was in college.
Ooh.
And that one like knocked me out. He's like a unicorn. He's just so unique and amazing. And that was like a 3-act play. And by the 3rd act, I was just like stuck in my seat. Like I couldn't move. I was so like just knocked out by his performance.
You're like, give me a 4th act.
Yeah, sure. Totally. I would have. Yeah. Yeah. So he's just like, man, sometimes when I like watching performances and being like, I don't even understand what you're doing or like how you would have thought to say the line that way. Or, you know, he's so like creative with the way he delivers performances. So he's way up there. And then like for just regular or like film acting, like DiCaprio is my guy. I love him. Yeah. Sean Penn for a long time. Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, like just like, you know, like really creative, like so uniquely creative comedians, you know?
Yes, Robin Williams will always be my favorite.
Right? There's nothing like him. Nothing like him.
Love him.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
So what's on your theater bucket list?
Ooh, like shows to see?
Like to be in, to participate in. If you could revive something, if you could revive a play that you really love.
Ooh, okay. Wow. Okay. One of them is Burn This, which Adam Driver did.
Ooh, yeah.
So when I was a senior in high school, my mom and I went to Juilliard for me to audition at Juilliard.
Ooh.
Yeah, I didn't get in, so whatever.
I mean, still such an exciting experience that I feel like
totally
very few people get.
Yeah, it was really
go and audition or go and see the school.
Yeah. So they gave us a tour, and the admissions person was like, "There's a show going on tonight, so if you want to like stick around, you should check it out." And it was Burn This, and it was Adam Driver's senior year at Juilliard, and he was playing the lead, and his now wife played his love interest in the play. And that was another one where I was just like totally knocked out, so inspired, was just like, it's honestly, it might've been the best thing I've ever seen him do. Like he was so raw. He was so amazing. So that is like one of my favorite roles ever. One of my favorite plays. I literally, have it right here. That's John Malkovich played the original Pale and Joan Allen played Anna. I like do it in acting class. It's like, I've done monologues from it. I love it. I love that. So that would be, to play Pale someday. Ooh, that would be awesome.
Manifesting that one.
Okay, let's do it.
I manifest stuff.
Do you?
Yeah, I manifest. If when people say like their bucket list, I'm like, we're gonna manifest that. It's gonna happen someday.
Hey, I appreciate that. Cool. Let's get it out there.
It's gonna happen someday.
All right.
We're gonna make it happen. So how do you work on self-confidence in the industry?
Wow. Great question. Actually, I feel like I had kind of a shift in this lately. It's kind of what I was talking about with like bringing yourself to the work. But my acting teacher, Carl Bury, who's an amazing acting teacher, he's got a studio here in the city. He said to me, I like just got back into class off of COVID. Like the class came back and I had moved back to New York. and I was in class, and he said to me, he said, you've got, what did he say? He's like, you've got all the stuff. The only thing you might not have is knowing that you're enough. That might be the only thing you don't have. And that was like a huge, huge shift for me in like trusting that I'm enough and that what I bring is unique and that I can bring myself, I can bring all of the stuff that only I can bring, and that's enough, you know? And so I think that's a big one. I think like just trusting that you're enough and that what you bring is special is like, that was a big shift for me. Like for years, I think I was trying to be what I thought the business wanted me to be, or like what I needed to be. And yeah, I think that was really helpful. And then also like creating your own work, I think is like a really big one too. Like when I started writing this show with a friend called Mannies, it kind of changed my auditioning. Like I used to put so much pressure on the audition and like getting the job and like, please give me the job. And I think when I started doing other stuff that was creatively fulfilling, it took some pressure off of like the desperation of like, please give me this job, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, very interesting. So before I get to my last questions,
Yeah.
I want to ask, so you've done a lot of plays, and how I feel like people who like musical theater are just like, they always just stick to musical theater and they rarely go to plays.
Yeah.
How would you convince someone who likes musical theater to also go see one of the plays that doesn't have musical numbers in it?
Yeah.
It's like a straight play.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends like what you care about when you're seeing a show, you know? Like for me, even when I see musicals, I really care about the acting.
Yeah.
And some people don't, and that's like totally fine. Like if you're just there to hear some sick voices, then you will, and you'll see some amazing dancing, and also like a lot of people are amazing at acting in musicals too. But I think with a play, it's much more about the acting, and it's much more about the writing, and it's much more about the story than the spectacle. You know, you're probably going to just like really be affected by these characters and and the storytelling a little bit more. So if that's something you're interested in, and like seeing some amazing acting that could maybe like just make you stay in your seat for like, half hour after the play's over, you're just so like stunned, then I would say go do that.
I love a good play.
Right?
I mean, and when a play is really good, like I'll go back and see it multiple times.
Yeah,
too.
totally.
I'm like, I love musical theater, but like if an actor is up there like bearing their whole soul on stage,
oh my gosh,
me in. Like I'm like, wow, this is art.
Yes, absolutely. And like to be doing that 8 times a week, like to really just be ripping your heart open and like showing it to people over and over again is like, it's impressive and it's hard to do. So if somebody's really good at it, it's fun to watch. Yeah.
It's a special experience for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, musical theater fans, go see plays.
Check them out.
Yes. Don't miss them. So where can people follow you on social media to keep up with what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. That's about it. I mean, that's the only one I'm like pretty active on. And my name on that is DS Wallach. And I have a Twitter and I have a TikTok, but I don't really do anything with them. So people could go check those out, but they probably would be disappointed.
Hey, you never know. There could be a ton of you all dancing on TikTok soon when rehearsals start for this next play.
You think so?
Just get everyone to dance on TikTok.
Oh my gosh. Okay, maybe.
They'll be like, what? No, didn't sign up for this.
It'll just be me getting turned down a lot on TikTok, just dancing by myself or not at all.
Yeah.
Sad stuff, really sad stuff. So if you want to see me really sad and disappointed on TikTok,
you just get to scroll and like be addicted at like.
That's more of what it is.
To be honest.
Yeah, it's less putting stuff out, more just like swiping.
Oh my gosh, and before you know it, it's been like 3 hours and you're still swiping.
I know. I think I need to get like a safe for my phone or something, like just to like put it away. It's crazy. Yeah, I feel the
It
same
is.
way. Not TikTok, but other stuff where I'm just like, why am I still staring at this thing?
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
dogs are like staring at me like, why do you look at that thing so much? Like one of Sarah's dog, Warren, knocks the phone out of my hand with his
Yep.
nose.
Like,
I'm like, who
hello,
did that?
you are not
Yeah,
paying attention to me.
yeah, he's way cooler than my phone anyway. So it's like, come on, get off that thing. Yeah.
Yes. So my last question is always, do you have anything you want to promote and talk about, or
Mhm.
just tell people to come see your show when it opens?
That's about it right now. Yeah, I would love to see any of your fans at the show. That would be amazing. Come check it out.
Yes. And the ticket link will be in the description below. I don't know if tickets are on sale yet, or
I think they are.
okay.
I think they
Or,
are, but I, probably once we start rehearsals, I'll probably have like some, discount codes and stuff like that. So
yeah.
yeah.
So I'll put the description there for everyone. Well,
Awesome.
thank you so much for coming on and talking about your career with me. I'm
You?
so like inspired by like how dig you deep with these characters and how much you care about acting.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for having me, and thank you for asking so many great questions. You have awesome questions, and you're a great interviewer.
Thanks for watching this episode of Backstage with Becca B. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Becca B Talks TV. Or for more exclusive content from this interview and more, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Backstage with Becca B. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video, or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give me a 5-star rating. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!